fishers of men. They turned around and said, sorry, Zebedee, we'll see you later. We're going to follow Jesus. They let him go. It's also used at the cross when Jesus lets go of his Spirit. It's a volitional decision. It is not forced upon someone. It is a decision someone makes. When Jesus was on the cross, he looked up to heaven, and it says that he let go of his Spirit. See, no one took Jesus' life away from him. He volunteered his life. Just as the disciples volunteer to desert him here. It's a choice they make. It's a affectation of their will. Jesus is then left standing alone amidst his enemies. Nobody's there with him. Nobody there to be at the trial with him. Nobody there to help him. Nobody there to pick him up when they knock him down. Nobody there to say that's not true when they accuse him. Just alone. Just by himself. I've seen a great change in our culture over the past 20 years. I've seen kids go from playing outside to playing inside because parents are afraid their kids will go outside and somebody will get them, and that's the world we live in today. And I remember as a child we would go outside and we had nothing, and we'd go outside and we would play. We'd play games like Tag, You're It. And just simply run off energy. Hey, you're it. What's that mean? I don't know what it means. But you're it, whatever it is, and it's not good. And we would play other games like Red Rover. Anna reminded me of this one where you link your arms and you see if you can jerk each other's shoulder out of socket. Amen? That's always a good game, right? How come all these 10-year-olds have rotator cuff injuries? Well, Red Rover, Red Rover. You know, send somebody like Lowell over who's just too big to play. Just kidding, Lowell. We would play other games like Kick the Can, Hide and Go Seek, and one game called Hot Potato. And if you remember Hot Potato, what you would do is you would grab a ball or a football or a rock or just whatever you had. And you'd get in a circle and you'd toss it back and forth. And you'd count to a certain number, or you would say a rhyme. And whoever was left holding it at the end, you were the loser. You didn't lose anything. I don't know what you lost, but you just weren't supposed to hold it. And you toss it back and forth, and then when it comes to you and it's at the very end, you push it to somebody else. This is what they're doing. It's coming to the end for them. And they're happy to follow Jesus, and they're happy to listen to the teachings, and they're happy to eat the meals, and they're happy to see the miracles. But now the persecution bears down. And you see, when it's all said and done, when the rhyme is over and the numbers are counted, none of the disciples are left holding Jesus. They have all dropped him like a hot potato. Get away. I don't want to be a part of this. You know, it was fine when we were out teaching, and it was fine when we were getting some respect. But you've turned everybody in the world against us. And is there fear here? Yes. But they make a choice. They make a choice to let go of Christ in the midst of the biggest trouble they've ever seen. And I wish I could stand up here and tell you that I don't see that all the time. I wish I could stand up here and tell you that whenever it gets tough for people, that when it really gets down, that when there's really no one to trust, that no matter what happens, they hold on to Christ with all they have, but they don't. They drop him like a hot potato. And you ask him, you're like, why haven't you been in church? Well, things have been really rough for me. Well, why would you not be in church if things have been rough? Why would you not want people to pray for you? Why would you not want somebody to come over there and spend time with you? Why? And if somebody can explain it, write me a letter and give it to me, because I don't understand. I don't understand how, when the only thing that will sustain us, when the only thing will keep us is a relationship with Christ, when it gets to that point, we're so willing to let it go. What I would have liked to seen is 11 disciples surround Jesus and say, Jesus, we're not going to fight for you because you've told us not to fight for you, but we will stand with you no matter what happens. But that's not what we see, is it? What we see is 11 full-grown men and one young boy running from that garden as if somebody just set off a bomb in their midst, fleeing from the scene. Do not let go of Jesus when things get tough. Don't let go of that which is so precious. It doesn't make sense. It has no foundation in reality. It is the devil coming in and saying, that religious stuff isn't what you need right now. And by the right definition, I would tell you the same thing. Look, when the chips are down, when you don't know what to do, you don't need religion. You need your relationship with Christ. You need to be able to hold on to Him and say, Jesus, I know that you can make it through this. He is worth holding on to. So then again, what's the failure? That's what we always want to know when we're looking at these things. Where does the failure lie? Does the failure lie in the fact that Judas betrayed Jesus? That is a failure, but not the biggest failure. Does the failure lie in the fact that a mob of people are willing to arrest a man and try him for no reason? That is a failure, but not the failure. Well, is the failure that the disciples forsook Him and ran away? That's also a failure. But I think the failure, we see it hinted at in verse 49b, and Jesus says, but the Scriptures must be fulfilled. The Scriptures must be fulfilled. If you like to read, if you like to watch movies, if you like entertainment like that, what you love is a story that's got a twist. What you love is a story that maybe you don't understand what's going to happen, but everything's coming together and you're excited to read the ending. And that's what's going on here. The disciples, they don't know what's going on. They can't understand what's happening. It's all coming together, but Jesus says the Scriptures must be fulfilled. So in that we know this. Despite the apparent chaos of what transpires, everything is proceeding toward the fulfillment of God's purposes. Before the foundations of the world, God said, Son, you will have to be the sacrifice for these people. If they are to be reconciled to me, if their sins are going to be forgiven, you have to be the one. You're the only one worthy. You're the only one who can. Jesus stands alone because we can't. We can't stand alone. We can't stand up to what the world can put on us. And we sure can't stand up to what God can put on us in judgment. He stands alone in that garden, surrounded by His enemies. Why? Because He's the only one that can do it. He's the only one worthy. He's the only one that's planned for it. He's the only one that can stand up other. He's the only one who can be accused and accused and accused and simply stand there and smile knowing that His Father's purposes are being accomplished behind the scenes. That everything is coming together. That the biggest plot twist ever to exist in history is coming when He's resurrected from His death on the cross. Whatever is happening in your life, I want you to know this. God is on His throne, and He is accomplishing His purposes. God is not surprised by your situation. God is more than able to address what's going on in your life. God is more than happy to work in you, through you, around you, if you will submit to His Son, Jesus Christ. You see, you don't have to stand alone. But more than that, you can't afford to stand alone because you can't stand up to what's coming. So turn to the one that could stand alone and did stand alone. so you didn't have to stand.